Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. The Green Path podcast is kindly sponsored by Sustonica, the first sustainability recognition for vacation rental homes. What if vacation rental professionals could influence millions of travellers to make their own homes more sustainable? Show the world that you have taken steps to make your vacation rental consume less and get your badge on sustonica.com. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Green Path podcast. Well, today I'm winging it. Today I have an impulsive and impromptu episode with Jacob from Stasher, who also has started Treepoints. Hello Jacob, how are you?
Hi Deborah, long time no see.
Jacob, can we start with, how did your sustainability journey start? You were with Stasher.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've also now moved into a sustainability company. How did it happen? Or where did your journey start?
Okay, great question. There's two answers to this. There's the sort of formal answer, which is while working at Stasher, sustainability, particularly sustainable travel, was becoming more and more of a theme. It was something we wanted to address, but as a small business, we didn't really know where to begin. And that was where we kind of first became aware of a need to address this problem. The more honest answer, however, is that COVID hit, flattened Stasher. We suddenly found ourselves, when the second lockdown came around, with all this time on our hands and the prospect of, well, at the time, as I'm sure everyone will recall, just no sense of when travel was going to be back to normal. And obviously we hoped it would be, and we kind of kept faith in the fact that Stasher would one day sort of return to where it was, and thankfully I'm happy to say that it has. But back in October 2020, Ant and I were thinking, well, what are we going to do for the next 6 months? And so we decided to start Treepoints as a project to do some good and keep ourselves busy, really. And so this was the problem that we sort of felt we were both passionate about, both interested in, wanted to learn more about. And so somewhat selfishly, it was almost more for our own education than anything else. But we thought, from our experience with Stasher, the best way to learn is by doing. And we threw ourselves into building something that we thought would be useful for us and hoped would be useful for other people. And that was how we ended up with Treepoints.
That's fantastic. So what exactly does Treepoints offer?
So there are two parts to the Treepoints offering. There's and it kind of mirrors the I suppose approach to sustainability that all companies are recommended to follow, which is measure, reduce, and offset. So the first part of what we do is measure and reduce, which is basically we offer a carbon footprinting a check, basically more than a tool. We'll require you to kind of send us a lot of data and information, but we'll process that into a carbon footprinting report, which will come with recommendations on, this is how we suggest you should reduce your footprint. And that's
Can I ask you a question right there?
Yeah, please.
How easy is that? That form, that exercise, how easy is it? Because I've spoken to other people, and the whole UX of giving all the data to do a footprint, some people go, oh, it's too hard. How easy is it?
Yeah, I'll be honest, that is a really sort of, it depends, can be tricky situation. And it ultimately what it depends on is just how easy and accessible the data is. Okay. And so what we've done and what we've got quite good at is developing pretty good sort of standards and averages for, if you don't have a very specific measure, but you have a rough idea, or where you work, and we can take pretty good estimates to get you close enough. And and I mean, I don't know that this is necessarily the correct belief, but certainly my belief is that if you can get 90% of the way to an estimate, that's more important than being 100% right. As long as you have a good idea, the most important thing really is that you are taking steps to reduce or offset, not that you know exactly what your sort of carbon footprint is to the nearest half a ton, right? So that's the approach that we take there. And it's a very fair question, because I mean, we started this out on our own company. We did Stash's carbon footprint, and it's not always the easiest thing in the world to measure, but I think with our tool you're able to get about 90% there, and I think generally that's well, you don't want the great to be the enemy of the good there, do you? So
it's a good start. Give it a go and get 90% right. It's a good start. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So sorry, that back on the track of so the first product is this footprinting tool, measure and reduce. And then the second thing, which is actually, we kind of did this back to front. This was the first tool that we built, are climate APIs, which are super simple, super versatile. You can plug these in at any point, either in your checkout flow would be the most common thing, or you could really set it to trigger on, like, if you want to plant trees for every download of a podcast episode, or for every time someone reads an article, whatever it is, you can use our API to trigger planting a tree, offsetting carbon, or recycling plastic. And obviously for people who've used the tool, we can, if we have a good estimate of how much you'd want to offset to cover the part of the footprint that you can't reduce, you can obviously just set up like a direct subscription on, we'll do this every month. And so it's all, idea was always just to use technology to help people be more sustainable and take positive actions.
I want to go back to that checkout as an example. We'll come to the podcast example in a second. So in a checkout, what does that mean exactly? You got the API and you use that as part of the checkout process. What does that mean?
It can look, good, great question. And it can look at, it can kind of appear in a few different ways. So the most common sort of popular example, and you've probably seen this offered by other companies, if not by us, is you get to the checkout flow and then there's a tick box that's like, do you want to add a couple of trees to your basket? And in our case, that would cost about 50p in the UK. And you'd add 2 trees. So we, again, this is something we offer with Stasher. When you store a bag, you have the opportunity to plant 2 trees. Tick the box, it's 50p extra to your bill. But that gives you that. What we also do though, and depends on the sort of company's size of company that we work with and how much sort of budget they have to put towards sustainability, but we can make that a default feature. So you can use the API to trigger a tree no matter whether a customer opts in or not. And that's where you'll see we plant a tree for every order regardless. Right. And then it's up to the company to sort of message that clearly in their checkout, but the API will work in the background to make sure that happens.
Lovely. So you've simplified your guest chipping in, or you can chip in on behalf of the guest, and you've simplified that. I can just plonk it into my checkout email.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So it's either in the flow, but as you said, I mean, the nice thing about the API is it's something we built ourselves, and it's totally custom. So you can really plug it in anywhere that you'd want to trigger something like this.
Lovely. Now, you also mentioned recycling. So how does it work with recycling?
Good question. So we've got a few different sustainability partners that we work with to actually fulfill these orders. With recycling, there's a couple that basically their whole project is around recycling ocean-bound plastic. And every month when we figure out how much plastic our community of businesses have recycled, we'll go to them and place the order. And they're recycling plastic all the time, but they rely on donations from companies like ours to continue to be able to fulfill that. So you'll get a measurement in kilograms of plastic recycled from the oceans. And obviously, I could sort of go a bit nerdy on the importance of like keeping the oceans clean as a major carbon sink, but that's the reason there.
Okay,
it's also like good for ecology and stuff.
You have to excuse my ignorance. So, as a property manager, as just regular, person, I want to be involved in this, and I don't understand what my role is in this. Am I contributing money to get the plastic out of the ocean, or am I putting my plastic into a rubbish bin that somehow you're collecting? And explain that again.
It's the former. It's contributing money to support projects that are recycling plastic from the ocean.
Right.
That's the idea there. And the reason we added plastic was actually it got a lot of attention a few years ago around the time of sort of Earth Day, as people were paying more attention to the fact that the oceans are similar to rainforests. They're really important carbon sinks, and we thought there might be partners that we'd work with. I remember we were talking to a large provider of like debit and credit cards and gift cards, and they thought plastic would actually be a more resonant action than planting trees or offsetting carbon.
Mm.
So we wanted to be able to offer a little bit of a range so that whichever business we worked with, they could take an action that they felt kind of resonated more, to reuse that word again.
Yeah. So this is a sort of thing where if I could choose, if I want a checkout, I could say tick a box to plant trees or tick a box to contribute to recycling plastic, or they can tick both.
Yeah, totally. And also to offset carbon via a range of different sort of projects there as well. So yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. So through the API, I can offer any of those on my checkout in emails or to my guests.
Absolutely that. Exactly that. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good, actually. I like that because it's simple. If you're just saying, this is a little plugin or this is the code, and you can just build it in, then I should have no excuse. I'll just do one little effort, and then me and my guests can now start contributing. As small as it is, if everyone did something small, then hey, we're going to start making a little bit of an impact.
This is exactly it. This is how communities kind of snowball to have really big impacts.
Exactly.
So as you say, I mean, we as a community, we're still small, but we've planted in our time over 300,000 trees now. Actually, I'm not sure how much plastic we've recycled. I think something like the equivalent of 50,000 plastic bottles, maybe slightly less. But yeah, as you say, this wouldn't be possible without the sum of all these little actions, and that can be quite a powerful movement.
Yeah, a lot of little things equal a big thing.
Exactly.
We all have to do that little thing. Great. So is there anything else that Treepoints does? Is that they do the calculator, the recycling, the offsetting, recycling, and things we can add into the checkout, things for our guest. Is there anything else that it does?
I mean, you've described it perfectly. The other thing I suppose it's worth mentioning, although it's maybe less relevant for this audience, but we have a Shopify app as well, just again, specifically for e-commerce providers, make it really easy to add this to your flow. But that's just another kind of wrapping up of the API. So yeah, it's about those two products.
But that's good to know. I mean, I have 3 Shopify shops, in fact.
Oh, cool.
Little does anyone know what other things I do, but that's really great to know that it's not just for the vacation rental. You're doing it for the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we set this up really to be, for our sense was from our own experience that sustainability has obviously been a big talking point for a long time, and very large companies will have heads of sustainabilities and large budgets and big kind of multifaceted corporate approaches to how they want to attack sustainability. But when you're a small company, you also care about these things. It's harder to make that work and be more affordable. So we thought, let's aim this at the niche of smaller companies, and it's not going to be a big business in the same way that if you're targeting like Coca-Cola and that lot. There are lots of companies who are doing their green accounting and everything else. But I suppose because of the way that we set Treepoints up, and it really started originally as a project during COVID, we thought, let's aim this at, I suppose, what could be a bit of an underserved community of businesses who are small, but do care about these things and want to be able to offer something to their customers or their guests. Well,
I like the fact that you started it without knowing about it. You said selfishly. Well, I don't think so. I mean, it's a hot topic is not exactly the best way to describe sustainability. But
it's a good pun.
But I started this podcast and I didn't know anything about sustainability. And I figured, you know what? I'm representing my audience.
You learn by doing, yeah.
Exactly. If you want to take a step, I'm taking the step with you, actually. So my questions are their questions. So we're all learning at the same time. And the thing 100%. Is, as long as we're in it and on the green path, we're taking some steps, then that's the most important thing. Whether you're starting a business or starting a podcast or changing your light bulbs in your property, as long as we're all taking those steps and learning and growing, then that's the most important thing.
I totally agree. And I think that's it. It's all about learning, and it's all about, it's one of those things where the more people are talking about it and aware, it creates more helpful services and creates that momentum that I think is where the world ultimately is heading already and certainly needs to. So.
Yeah. In the years since I've been involved with the podcast and hearing about it, learning about it, I can definitely see the ball is rolling. Where before it was like, I know Bob Garner was like, come on, let's get this ball rolling. It's definitely rolling now.
Yeah,
It's definitely. Now it just needs
that's
to
good to hear.
snowball. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just getting there. Yeah. Jacob, it's been lovely hearing about tree points. Up until this morning, I hadn't heard about it. Now I do. Now we
Thank
all
you very
do.
much, Deborah. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you
the
very
time.
much for thank you for your time. See you.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode and were at least a little bit inspired. If you'd like to catch up on the other episodes that you've missed, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com. See you next time.